Just 1 week ago, Spec-5 World Tour's Season 17 kicked off in dramatic fashion at Virginia International Raceway. With newcomer David Ducamo as championship leader, we head to Circuito de Navarra in Spain, a new addition to iRacing, a Spec-5 World Tour's globally competitive Mazda MX-5 iRacing League turns up the racing once again. Taking a look at the weather, the wind, and the circuit, 45 minutes of racing is ahead of us on this 15-turn, 2.5-mile circuit. It's cool, beautiful weather in Spain as we welcome you to HJBC's live coverage of Round 2 of Spec-5 World Tour Season 17. David Haynes here with Devin Peters and Michael Derby on the production. We go to qualifying on track right now. It's a bumper turnout of drivers once again in this season of Spec-5 World Tour, Devin.
Yeah, and huge fields make for exciting races, and that's what we saw in the first one, and I'm looking forward to seeing the action here. This Navarra circuit, new to me, but it's got plenty of room for action, plenty of big old braking zones, and lots of fun runoff that I can imagine we'll see the drivers make a little bit of use of today.
So with our eyes on the championship leader, David Ducamo of Team CFPM Sampaio, his teammates, plenty of them present as there was a week ago and then also today. He's on his outlap of what's going to be 4 flying laps in this qualifying session. If you've got a friend, a teammate, your dad, your kid, whatever, racing today, HJBC.live has the live timing if you are watching this as it unfolds live, so you can keep track of their positions, their placings, and also their pit stops when that becomes relevant in the 45-minute race coming up. Ronnie Coates, a multiple race winner last season. Michael Chase was in the championship hunt. He's got gold numbers as he's one of Spec-5 World Tour's supporters, gold tier supporters that makes the league, the broadcast, and everything possible for Spec-5 World Tour to be so successful that we're now into our 17th season and looking better than ever.
Yeah, and it's thanks to those drivers who support the series, make it all possible to bring the broadcast to you.
So we're about to start the first of the flying laps. The character of this racetrack, quite interesting. Not a whole lot of elevation change to be found, but in a few critical places there is some. It all kicks off with a flat out kink turn 1 into a slightly tightening turn 2 and a very tight turn 3. So this opening part of the lap, it tightens and then it tightens and then it continues to tighten until you're into that potential overtaking opportunity at turn 3 there. We ride on board with Michael Foles as he goes back across. Finally, you get some sweeping corners at turn 4 and then into sort of turn 5, 6 here as well. So that's 5, and then needing to brake for the tighter turn 6. Track limits, I think, are going to be quite critical on the exit there. Basically flat out through 7, trying to open up this next tight corner as well, because you've got a very fast front straight, but there's also a decently sized back straight right here as well. So if you're forced defensive into that previous sequence of 3 corners, you could then find yourself vulnerable at the big braking zone at the end of the back straight just here. And then it sort of folds in on itself. Pit entries in a unique place around here at Circuito de Navarra on the full circuit as well. Because where it is, it's just coming up on the driver's right after this corner. Just like Silverstone Circuit and a few others, it actually shortcuts quite a bit of the end of the lap as well. So the pit delta might be less than you think here at Navarra. See, there's the pit entry going to the right. Well, the racetrack has to go all the way off to the left here and loop around this final corner.
Yeah, and so despite the fact that you got that 37 mile an hour pit lane speed limit, you're traveling a much shorter distance. And Michael Folds is going to cross the line and put in a pretty quick one. 55.866.
so getting a few more times coming through. Got about 10 right now. Michael Folds is up top. David Takamo in second, Ronnie Coates in third. Taking a look at Logan Frey, he's one of the better open class drivers. There's 2 classes of driver in Spec-5 World Tour. In red is the pro class, in blue is the open class. And it just gives everyone something to fight for, something to strive to achieve, because there are some incredibly talented drivers right up the top. Don't want to discourage anyone from continuing to enjoy their racing, continuing trying to improve, and trying to bag themselves a title.
Quick one there from Joao Hedler. Puts himself on pole after 1 lap, 55.821, and it's going to be down in the hundreds here if the first round was any indication. Saw real neck and neck stuff from all parties in round number 1.
So cool track temperatures mean the tyres should keep giving, and it might take a lap or 2 or even 3 before the tyre temperature is at maximum grip. So normally on this second flying lap, everyone keeps going even faster. There is the air and the track temperatures. Very nice for racing and not too much wind around either. Don't think a southerly is going to be particularly cold breeze in Spain either. But I've never been.
Yeah, I was going to say, I would trade the weather there for the weather where I am right now. Pretty much any time of year. So
I'd trade an arm and a leg to get away from the weather that you've got, because the reality is that I'm not built for that level of cold. The frostbite would take my arm and my leg already. So
I knew a guy who lost his whole, his left arm, his left leg to the cold. But you know what? He's all right now.
But we're about to see a whole
second lap there
of new lap times coming in, including Joao Hedler, Michael Folds. So Michael Folds went to the top. Joao Hedler came back on him and goes to the top now. David Takamo in the 3rd position at the moment. For Michael Coates, Donnie Moffat working his way into the top 5 there as well. Logan Frey has been displaced, at least momentarily, from the top of open class. Lee Martin and Peter Resorkis go in there. Carl Genske is the defending open class champion. He's 4th in the qualifying at the moment from Mark Kruger, but there is still so much time in this qualifying session for drivers to go faster.
Seeing a couple of familiar names crack in the top 10 as well. Michael Coates and Michael Chase. A lot of races under the belts of those guys, as well as Ronnie Coates and Simon Foweather rounding out the back at the top 10. Yeah, I think some of the series regulars might have been a little caught off guard by the influx of new talent at the start of the last round. They've shown up today ready to race by the looks of things.
There's Simon Foweather playing in the Spanish beach. They call it La Playa, I believe, around here. Mitchell Peak's in the 18th. You can have a nice drink, work on your tan. I don't know. Again, I've never been. I'm playing purely off Spanish stereotype right now. And again, we're about to see another group of qualifying times. Mitchell Peak's currently 19th outright. He'd fancy himself a little bit quicker than that. So to improve on a 157.2, he's going to put in a 156.6, and that will move him up some more spots. With a little bit of time and laps still to go in this qualifying, Joao Hedler remains up top.
I'm just enjoying watching these guys pushing all the limits of the circuit. It's seems like there's a few corners where you can get a little bit of an advantage by cutting the inside or cutting the outside just the right amount.
There's a couple of places you won't get any advantage. I've seen Geordie Fikes just served a slowdown penalty. Jamison Sampaio has a black flag for some reason. It's either unsafe pit entry, unsafe pit exit, or not clearing and giving up the time gained from a slowdown. I don't know, and that's why he's got no lap times yet, because none of them are going to count while there's still a black flag waving to his name.
Sampaio did have a start from the pits penalty, so that could
maybe
potentially be a
he's
factor.
been black flagged.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that's the case. He had that incident on lap 17 at VIR.
I'd see that in this list if our Spec-5 World Tour admins had manually given him a black flag. It'd say maybe he's done it himself intentionally, unsafe pit entry or speeding or something.
Could be.
So you get 4 laps in this qualifying session. Basically everyone is on or has finished their 4th flying lap. We're looking at Andrew Gilliland. A couple of problems for him. I saw he dropped out and then rejoined. So he hasn't done that many laps yet, or any, in fact. So he's going to start quite deep on the grid unless he pulls out some magic.
Michael Folds just crossed on his final lap of qualifying. Wasn't quite enough, that last one, to put him anywhere other than second place. So Joao Hedler's going to hold on to first place, unless someone else comes from deeper in the field to challenge him.
So Gilliland just crossing the start-finish line with 4 minutes left means he's going to get 2 laps. There's a few other drivers like Sampaio without a qualifying time, but also Ismail Ublal, Eugenio Pellicci, Dick Mueller, Josh Olsen, and Jake de Grand. Did anyone else have a start from pit lane penalty than Sampaio? Was it Pellicci too?
Yeah, there were a few start from pit lane penalties. Eugenio Pellicci for that rejoin, Sampaio, Fletcher, who didn't make it today, Josh Olsen was the last one, and then Folds has 1 penalty point, but still has 2 more available on his license in case he decides to get on the voice chat again.
The things drivers would say to themselves or say to each other if we hooked the radios together in any professional racing series.
That's really, when Formula One got the team principals off the radio, we lost something. But I think you could make it up if you just made an all chat for the drivers during the race. Come on, F1.
It's the kind of thing that SRX or Race of Champions or something should have, because it's just a real chance for broadcast comedy gold. Andrew Gilliland, how's this going for him? Well, every sector so far is legal, so hopefully this whole lap is, and he'll move himself from 39th outright without a qualifying time to still 39th. Some people have really complained, pardon me, about the track limits here. So did you see him outside of the track limits?
I didn't see it.
Jason Stalker's got a slowdown penalty. Mitchell Peake's got a slowdown penalty. They're on pit lane at the moment, so I don't know where they got that.
You might be able to get one on the entry. So after round 1, we had David DeCarmo, Joao Hedler, and Giancarlo Schooler as our top 3 in the points in Pro. And Joao Hedler and David DeCarmo are making appearances again. Michael Folds coming from 10th. He's on 2nd on the grid. And then Breno Rodriguez was nowhere to be found in that first race. And he has put in a pretty impressive qualifying lap here to hold on to 4th place. Curious to see how that works out.
I'm seeing tyres on the pavement so far from Andrew Gilliland here. This will be his last opportunity. Otherwise, he'll be starting at the tail of a very large field. 36 drivers. 35 drivers have qualifying times at the moment, and there's a handful of others that will either be starting from the back of the grid or starting from the pit lane. So it's one of the few drivers with any laps left in the bank. Rob Conahan, I think, is the only other driver out there. It's either Andrew Gilliland or Rob Conahan if you're looking for any movement inside of your top 20. And you'll get it from Andrew Gilliland as he goes to the 12th outright.
That's some good stuff. A little bit of driver coaching from Camden Hibbett and a little bit of experience and practice from Gilliland there. And that's a good way to finish off your qualifying.
The level of detail on those tyres in the tyre bundle is over the top. You could tell if those were, summer or all-season tyres and how much tread depth to the millimetre was left on them. Very, very interesting. It's not that interesting. This is our qualifying order. Zhao Hedler takes pole position from Michael Folds. For the two-wide rolling start, they will form the front row of the grid. Row 2 is championship leader David Zucamo. Newcomer Breno Rodriguez, his teammate, joins him as CFPM Sampaio take 3 of the top 4 positions in qualifying. John Miller and Lincoln Fox, row number 2. Jordan Johnson and Nicholas Shepard, 7 and 8, with Michael Coates and Ronnie Coates, no relation, in the top 10 there. Otis Adams and Andrew Gilliland, 11th and 12th. Donnie Moffat, 13th. Michael Chase, 14th. Lee Martin, Mr. Clean Martin, in 15th position is the open class pole sitter. Then there's Mitchell Peake, Simon Foer, the Rui Coimbra. Next 2 drivers in open class are Logan Frey and Peter Rosorkis. Then in the 21st position is Todd Martin from Daniel Arturzo, Carl Genski, Ray Lombardi, Brian Jabelski, Paul Murgatroyd, Mike Oswalt. There's Rob Conahan, Geordie Fike, and Jason Stalker. Getting towards the end of the drivers with qualifying times is Travis Hewitt, Sean Hayes, Mark Kruger, Peyton Gherkin, Bobby Paul, and Jake DeGround. Here's some of your drivers that will either be starting from the rear of grid or from the pit lane. Jamison Sampaio, Ismail Ublal, Eugenio Polici, Dick Mueller, and there was 1 or 2 more. There's one more. It's Josh Olson.
For those wondering, the top Canadians on the grid, Mitchell Peake, Todd Martin, Paul Murgatroyd. Haynes, how are the top Australians doing?
Oh, great. They're at work, but they'll be at the pub later. It's Friday. Also, the top Australians are men's Ashes champions, women's Ashes champions, Cricket World Cup champions, Border Gavaskar trophy holders. They're doing well. They're doing good. So CFM Sampaio, look at that. 3 of 4 cars. 4 cars in the top 6. They are here to play, and most of them from and representing Club Brazil as well. We got to brush up on our Portuguese. So vai CFPM.
I'll get the Duolingo fired up and work on it while we're between sessions here.
Obrigado. I think my Brazilian Portuguese ends at dois caipirinhas. Caipirinhas, thank you.
I've only got French, so yeah, we're going to need a French superstar to sign up. Can we get any French drivers to the front?
I'm going to go out on a limb and hope we have championship standings. Do we have championship standings to look at on the formation lap ahead of 45 minutes of Spec-5 World Tour racing?
Just in case we don't, I can read them aloud, tell you about the top few.
Let's look at them, Devin.
Yeah, as you can see, top of the pro standings, David DeCarmo, Joao Hedler, Giancarlo Schooler in the top 3. Olivier Piatek, Michael Chase. Michael having a little incident there near the end. Jeremy Fletcher in 6th, Robert Hartley 7th, Ronnie Coates 8th, John Miller 9th, Michael Folds 10th. after round number 1. Open points are a little bit more spread out, and that's how it works here. The open class points are delivered based on finishing position relative all drivers, not just the other ones in your class. So, open class, we've got race 1 winner, Logan Frey, Lee Martin in 2nd place, Travis Ewart in 3rd, Daniel Artuzo in 4th, Greg Mack in 5th, Christian Oost in 6th, Peter Ruskakus in 7th, Gareth Brocklesby in 8th, Kyle Genski in 9th, Andrew Kosick in 10th. Fun fact, Oost, Norwegian for cheese.
Really? So Ostberg would be like Cheese Mountain? We've got the leaders, the front row, coming through the final corner. We're waiting on the green flag to get us racing 45 minutes with a compulsory pit stop for Spec-5 World Tour at Circuito de Navarra, the full speed circuit layout. The green flag waves, and Michael Folds and Zhao Hedler head us down towards turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, tightening as we go. The slipstream in these cars always so powerful, as 3 of our pit lane starters are going to join the rear of the field. Could just see them in the tail of shot. Zhao Hedler on the inside of this sequence of corners is surely going to have the high ground. His teammates are going to try to go with him, but Michael Folds not going to be discouraged around the outside, trying to stay in it. Bit of contact up on 2 wheels for Simon Fowler, the further back in the pack. Your leaders clean so far as they keep trying to build tyre temperature on the opening lap.
Yeah, tricky start deeper in the field. The rear end of the field was racing their way to catch back up to the pack when the green flag dropped. All things considered, things were pretty smooth. A little bit of contact, like you noted, and a little bit of smoke, but so far everyone's pointing the right way.
Top 3 stringing away as John Miller and Breno Rodriguez go side by side on the back straight. Lincoln Fox and Jordan Johnson go side by side on the back straight. And so your top 3 are going to be able to get away just a little bit. With these other CFPM Sampaio teammates look to go with the race leader. Can they work together? Can they bump draft? Lincoln Fox trying to get down the inside of a couple of spots. Is that a relatively new livery there as well? John Miller in blue and orange that I haven't seen a whole lot of. I'm adjusting my eyes to a lot of beautiful new liveries in Season 17 of Spec-5 World Tour. First lap almost done, so you've got a kind of right-hand hairpin here, and then pit entry on the right there.
Yeah, and that pit entry is going to be critical today. We saw some speculation in amongst the drivers before the race that there might be a couple of different viable pit strategies today. We'll have to see what unfolds once they hit the lane. But after 1 lap, everyone's pointed the right way, and we got first through 3rd breaking away from a battle pack of 4th through 12th.
So with 1 lap completed, there's been a few big movers in the field. Jason Stalker from 30th to 20th, Rory Coimbra from 18th to 13th, Paul Murgatroyd from 26th to 18th. So a few gainers. It's ferocious all the way through, and it is a massive field of buzzing Global Mazda MX-5 Cup race cars. Some drivers have clearly struggled with those track limits and with tyre preparation in the qualifying, and their race pace demonstrating far more strength than what their qualifying order suggested. This is Logan Frey leading the open class at the moment. Lee Martin right at his rear bumper.
Yeah, Frey's doing his work trying to hold on. Looked like he was really comfortable over at VIR, but I'm not sure that anyone's going to be comfortable here with the way these corners are laid out. It's already showing that there's 2 lines on the way in, 1 line on the way through, and everyone's losing a lot of time in the battles.
Next best placed driver in that open class looks to be Daniel Artuzo, 20th outright, 3rd in class at the moment. Got a very, very quick Michael Chase at his rear bumper at the moment. Chase lost a lot of positions early in this race, so he's going to try to come back. He qualified 13th or 14th or something. Now he's 21st with a bit of damage on his car and looking down the inside of Artuzo here, trying to gain a position or 2 if he can. That's turn 13. Turn 14 looks absolutely flat out for a Mazda MX-5 Cup car. You're trying to position yourself to also be able to attack down the inside of what's practically a hairpin. Turn 15, and it is not working out for Michael Chase. There's Kyle Genske, who's going to get alongside him down the front straight. Chase's efforts not rewarded.
Yeah, it looks like Chase was caught up in that puff of smoke, or the cause of that puff of smoke we saw in lap 1. He was pointed the wrong way for a half second, but then got hit again and started facing the right way. But it's definitely cost him a little bit of speed, and I think he's having a hard time settling into this race. I'm also not convinced that damage isn't hurting his straight line speed a little bit, and at the top speed circuit here, it's making a big difference. So top 3 looking comfortable and breaking away, stretching that gap, almost 3 seconds between this top 3 and the next 11. Looking like more like the end of that VIR first round than the start of it. But the 3 of them are pushing.
So going backwards to look at Ray Lombardi and Simon Foweather. Simon Foweather exits stage right. Ray Lombardi knocks the front of his Mazda off on the Armco stage left. There's those incredibly detailed and packed together tyres that have blown Simon Foweather's motor. So contacts between the two there. Simon Foweather was a little off speed, I think, and Ray Lombardi was trying to gain a spot or two from that.
Yeah, Ray shortcut the track trying to find his way back to the pit lane too, and then when he needed to turn around and get into the pit lane to the right, the car wouldn't turn right, so he's wasted a bit of time getting on the tow hook, and I wonder if that's going to cost him even more. We'll have to see how that works out.
Here's John Miller and his new paint. It's kind of an interesting logo he's got. It's a combination of J, M, and the Roman numerals 3. So here's John Miller the third. So he's just ahead of Jordan Johnson with an Apex Racing Team paint. But your top 3 are motoring away at the moment. Lincoln Fox in 6th has snuck into a look-alike CFPM Sampaio paint, I think.
Maybe you just want to, seem like you're, camouflaged. You might be a teammate bump drafting behind.
Day 6, they still do not realize I am not one of them.
That'd be a strong move. We've gotten clarification. Lincoln Fox is not with CFPM, so Galaxy Brain Strategies, that's the only possible explanation.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off. For Lincoln Fox, who's got actual CFPM Sampaio driver Breno Rodriguez just behind at the moment. So you've got this group of drivers. A few of them might be aiming to save some fuel. Not sure if this is a high fuel consumption circuit. Feels like it could be, but there's a few sort of sweeping corners where you'd spend a lot of time in the middle of the corner at part throttle. So we'll see, but you've also got this long front straight, long back straight, a few stop-start hairpins. The percentage of time at full throttle could still be high here at Circuito de Navarra, and in a timed race, that's mainly what matters for your fuel consumption. Lincoln Fox, bad bump over the curb, runs a bit wide. Rodriguez goes up into 6th.
Nice move there from Rodriguez. That the third apex, the churn in, was a little unexpected, I think, for Fox. But one of those corners where shortest distance can overcome higher rolling speed pretty quickly if you're not careful.
I'm going to have a look at trading paints in a second to see if the CFPM Sampaio is public to just chuck on your global Mazda MX-5 car. it's a very unique strategy there from Morgan Fox. But you've got two legit in the top three at the moment. And it's about to change for fourth place here as down the inside after the back straight, Jordan Johnson just squeezing out John Miller. I would wager these two have raced each other a few times before in a few different categories as well. I've seen both of them in the Champ Car iRacing series. I've seen Jordan Johnson many other places as well as John Miller. Rodriguez just behind them at the moment.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid little group, dicing it up from about 4th place all the way through 11th with no real room to breathe. You can see them all filtering onto the front straight there. And we're seeing him getting too wide into this first corner complex. I think this is my favorite part of the track right now. John Miller loses the spot there to Breno Rodriguez, who really seems to have a handle on the move. And then ahead of Rodriguez, Jordan Johnson gets all kinds of sideways on the exit. Going to try and hold the inside line and defend as Rodriguez makes a move around the outside. A little bit of extra time on the limiter there from Johnson might cost him, but he's got the inside line. He's going to hold him off and use that shorter route into turn 6 here to hold on to his lead. That car, though, from Jordan Johnson is looking awful loose right now. And David Haynes has a face like he's learned something. What do you got, Dave?
There are 5 drivers racing CFPM Sampaio 2025 Global Mazda MX-5 on Trading Paints.
So you're saying the fans can join the team easily right now?
I mean, if they want to support CFPM Sampaio, Power PC, and Matsu Racer, and also Brazil, then yeah, you can click race this paint.
I have a deep pull. I remember in the very early days of HJ, there was an individual who had an on-track incident with an HJ driver that showed up at subsequent races with a slightly modified HJ livery that said some unflattering things. You gotta be careful when you leave that livery public. That's all I'm saying. On the front straight, we've got Breno Rodriguez going up the inside of Jordan Johnson, making a move for 4th place. Rodriguez has found his groove in the last couple laps here, moving from 8th place all the way up to 4th and making it stick into turn number 1. Seems to be a master at turn number 1, 2 and 3, must be said.
Yeah, so Rodriguez leading this group. His teammates going up to 1st and 2nd as Michael Folds has dropped back to 3rd behind David Ducamo. I don't see João Hedler and David Ducamo wanting to drop 6 seconds to bring Rodriguez and the others into the fold. So I think we're looking at a bit of a top 3 breakaway at the moment, and Rodriguez is going to have to pedal like mad if he's going to bring that next group of drivers up towards the race leaders. The next group of drivers is led by 12th place Donnie Moffat, Rui Coimbra, Mitchell Peak behind, and also with your open class lead in this group, Logan Frey, Lee Martin, and I can just see Kyle Genske 3rd in open class in the background a shot. So he'll be hoping that he can catch this group and catch the open class leader, Frey from Martin from Genske.
Yeah, Frey has been ahead of Lee Martin pretty well since the start, and there was a moment where they were nose to tail, but it's been 3 car lengths like this for a couple laps now. Seems like Frey is just having a little bit easier of a time sticking with Gilliland than Martin is with Frey at this point. And that was what we saw at VIR. You know, Frey having the ability to stick with the leading or the further ahead breakaway pack and sort of just pacing himself off of the pro drivers. Not the case for some of the other open class drivers who seem to struggle a little bit more.
Pack racing is the way of MX5 racing, so if you can be consistent, you don't necessarily need to be all that fast. If you can keep your pace within half a second of someone else, you can normally stay with them, so the consistency can be really rewarded once you're part of a pack of fast drivers. If you can just not make a mistake and fall out of that pack, you can really benefit. One of the other packs is being led by Peter Resorkis in 22nd. Travis Hewitt leads a group in 27th. Just behind Peter Resorkis is Jamison Sampaio, who started from pit lane. He's gained 14 positions right now.
Yeah, he's been slicing and dicing.
Can I get 15? Do you want 15?
He's trying, and he's going to get it. Yeah, he's making fast work of that South Park themed livery of Peter Resorkis, but he's been making short work of everyone. Unfortunately for him, all this slicing and dicing has cost him a lot of time as he's been going through the field. It's not that hard to make an overtake here, it seems, but it is hard to do it without losing a lot of time. Where he is now, he's 24 seconds off the lead, but crucially, he's almost 10 seconds off the back of 18th place, which is the third battle pack. So he's going to have to find a way to make up about 10 seconds on the track only in order to be back in contention for even a top 10 finish.
We're all learning about this new racetrack. This is 4th, 5th, 6th. A few of the drivers learnt some harsh lessons in qualifying about track limits. A few of them might learn a harsh lesson or two now about track limits. Important to remember that they have 20 incidents before a drive-through penalty. We saw one or two drivers pick up drive-through penalties at VIR because of incident limits from banging into other drivers, banging off the wall, etc., etc. It's possible you could get one here. There's a meatball flag out for Josh Olsen. There is a disqualified out for Michael Chase.
Interesting. I'll have to dig and see if we can find the reason for that one.
Well, him and Josh Olsen's only just towed, so maybe there's been dramas between himself and Josh Olsen recently.
Michael Chase did spend some time out in the dirt, but I don't see anything that would lead to a disqualification in that incident.
The two things that will do it is driving backwards on track and not even not serving a slowdown. Not serving a slowdown will give you a black flag. Not serving a black flag will give you a disqualification. So
a mystery. I do note that the last 4 laps or 5 laps, he's actually not registered a time. Now, I'm not sure if that's course cuts or if that's going back to lap 4, there was an incident, lost a bumper, had a couple contacts. I'm not sure if that was enough to do it, though.
Served a meatball?
Could have been.
This is something we'll have to find out about later, no doubt. The only drivers we've had pit to this point are drivers with problems, with damage, but the pit window should be open if anyone wants to add fuel and maybe add 2 new tyres on the early side. If this is a high tyre wear circuit, then you might get some level of undercut from taking a tyre change as you add the fuel that you will require, and therefore doing it on the early side could gain you a couple of track positions. This is the race lead. They'll probably look to go long with this many cars on track. Pitting early from the top half of the field, it's very likely to put you in traffic, whereas if you're in the back half of the field, pitting early might be a great way to jump up some spots and actually find yourself some clear air. So João Hedler from David Tacamo and Michael Folds as the top 3. Still an extending margin of gap between themselves and Breno Rodriguez leading 4th. So his pace has picked up and he's bringing that part of the field with him in the 156s. I believe the fastest lap of the race is the 155.420 by João Hedler.
Yeah, pretty substantial drop-off, though. Already we're seeing a second difference with the front of the field at a 56.4 now. I am curious to see what the tires are going to do. The pre-race chatter I heard was that the warm-up is a little bit painful on the cold tires, especially if you go one side only. So it just makes the car a little unstable, a little uncomfortable. Will be interesting to see how many people decide to opt for that. But seeing the difference between the fastest laps and what the tires are doing now, you got to think that there's some sort of arithmetic there that might make it worth it.
Perhaps it helps that the track temperatures are relatively cold, though. If it was a really hot day at this circuit, we might chew through them a little more.
Either way, things have cooled down along with that air temperature.
First pit stop, though, is from Brian Jabelski. So 17 seconds for Jabelski. 60 kilometer an hour, 37 mile an hour pit lane speed limit here. But you cut a lot of that final sector. So I think the pit loss is not so bad here. But getting up to speed out of that pit exit until you brake at turn 2, there could be a bit of time lost there. If you're level with someone as you come out of pit lane, they'll have way more speed than you down the straight until the braking zone at turn 2. Remains to be seen.
Yeah,
middle of field. This is kicking off. So Arthurzo and Travis Hewitt, Mike Oswald, and Michael Folds. So he was 3rd. He was running with the leaders. He pits in. The leaders stay out. Heaps of other cars come in, navigating a very tight hairpin on pit entry as well. Keep some eyes on that. It's a real rush on pit lane. 1 lap before the halfway. Left side tyres go on Michael Folds. Left side tyres for Jordan Johnson. Most other Mazda MX-5s are going up as well, like a dog on a fire hydrant.
Seen a few cars opt for all 4. I think Coates might have gotten all 4. No, he couldn't have. Not with how short that stop was.
Folds is being super jumped here, but he might have gone for all 4. Kyle Genske we're looking at for some reason. Yeah, 24-second stop for Michael Folds. I think that's 4 tyres. He's going to lose out a lot compared to he was right with the race leaders. Now he comes out and this outlap could be difficult for him, but if it is high tyre wear, he could be one to watch. Late on, expect João Hedler and David Tacamo to think about pitting now that everyone else is doing it.
That's what all the cool kids are doing. You got to think about it. Will be interesting to see what they opt to do. They now have the advantage of seeing the strategy of everyone else. I do wonder how much of that was reaction and how much of that was actual fuel usage. Because if these two have managed to somehow stretch an extra lap of fuel out of it, you know, that's something.
So this is race leaders going past pit entry. They're going to go long. A few of the other drivers, it's looking increasingly like a tactical tyre gambit to pit early. John Miller stays out. He's in 3rd. Rui Coimbra, Mitchell Peake jump up a whole heap of spots, 4th and 5th. So it was a lot of those drivers that were in the 4th place pack that we have seen pit, like Jordan Johnson, Breno Rodriguez, Lincoln Fox. Now John Miller pits, Mitchell Peake pits, Andrew Gilliland pits. Director, see if you can get an onboard with someone doing that pit entry, because it is very tight before the pit lane speed limit starts at those yellow cones.
And
Interesting
there's
pit
a lot of
entry.
time. Yeah, a lot of times we gained and lost there. We're seeing the pink car there. Who is that? That's looks like Mike Oswald. I think he made up like 4 seconds on Daniel Artuso as they were coming into the lane because he drove right up on the rear bumper of him and was able to take that hairpin a lot tighter.
Lots more pit stops happening by Bobby Paul, Todd Martin, Daniel Artuso, Andrew Gilliland here. And a lot of them are taking those tyres. Best placed driver Michael Folds in 8th has cleared his pit stop. It's just the top 7 now that we need to keep an eye on as far as their pit entry. The lap pace still looking okay from these guys. Charles Hedler last lap at 156.5. Still a lap away from seeing what Michael Folds is doing, who's really their key rival amongst these two. And this is going to be pit entry from them. Let's take a look here. So super fast from your race leader, but then you've got a brake. This is all racetrack right here. Whoa, in a little hot. Okay, and now it's pit lane speed. You are racing all that earlier bit. That's so interesting. Hedler and DeCarmo in, needing pit stops faster than 24 seconds to stay ahead of Michael Folds and come out in the race lead. I suspect that's what we'll get from them. So David DeCarmo, the one closer to camera, left side tyres. Joe Hedler closer to camera now, left side tyres. Lap down car there, unrelated to this. Both of them drop down, waiting on their fuel. 15 seconds later, they are out of here. Those are quick stops from Hedler and DeCarmo, who haven't shown much sign of saving a whole lot of fuel to this point yet. They have a teammate who hasn't stopped in, Jameson Sampaio there, who's just ahead of them, leaving Rui Coimbra, Logan Frey, Lee Martin, and Jameson Sampaio yet to pit.
It's kind of funny to think about how aggressive that pit lane entry is, knowing that in the same era we've got Daytona where they've extended the pit lane exit so far just because of that left-hander. And
even then, if you were watching it, some cars on cold tires nearly whacked that outside wall in the Daytona pit exit at whatever the pit lane speed limit is for the road course there. Just like 50 miles an hour might be a bit sketchy on a space saver spare tire. It's a bit sketchy in a Porsche 963 LMDH with very, very, very cold tyres. 4 cars out front that haven't stopped yet. A few in the middle of the field that haven't stopped yet, but are behind those that have. Joe Hedler and David DeCarmo have come out 7 seconds ahead of Michael Folds, who has been linked together with Jordan Johnson, Breno Rodriguez, a few of the others since the pit stop. So he's part of the 3-car breakaway, has been undone for Michael Folds by what looked like taking 4 tyres, but you hope he's got race pace in this final stint, fuel to burn in this final stint, as the top 2 have had very competitive pit stop times that couldn't lead to them needing to save a bit right at the end.
So 17 minutes to go, and last time by, Michael Folds ran a 55.9, so 7/8 tenths better than what we were seeing from the leaders when they were last on their hot tires. So let's see, what's the difference? 2 tires, left sides. How much of a difference is it going to make for them when they get past the line next time? I'm curious to see.
You know what?
Also,
if this is another 55 from Folds, which I think it is,
it has been.
He's got so much pace. He's got oodles of pace right now. He might have half a second on these leaders. We've got 9 laps still to go. If he's got fuel and he's got tyres, actually maybe he can catch up those 7 or 8 seconds. A 155.69 is only 2 tenths away from being the fastest lap of the race. Pace that Joe Hedler and David DeCarmo were not able to continually provide before the pit stop.
Now, a consideration, Jameson Sampaio is leading the race currently, hasn't pit yet, but was
He's
providing
towing.
a little bit of a draft. And as I commentate on it, of course, he pulls out a line. But he was helping out the team a little bit there.
David DeCarmo's dropped back a little bit, though, compared to Hedler. So, yeah, Hedler breaking away here. I wonder if DeCarmo, with the shortest pit stop of absolutely everybody, could be in a little bit of fuel drama here as well. We'll check in with that. He's about to get a little bit of slipstream off Sampaio, unless Sampaio needs to pit, which is probably about on time. No, apparently not.
I have a feeling that everyone kind of split the race in half for tire strategy, more so than for fuel strategy, if I'm honest. And if you're Sampaio, I think you're gaining more from the slipstream and from the clear track at the front than you are from racing back in the pack. Speaking of racing back in the pack, Jordan Johnson and that's Breno Rodriguez are real close together, with Michael Folds just ahead of him. And well, we know what Breno likes to do when he gets into this turn 1, 2, 3 complex. Let's see if he pulls the same move again. Lines him up through the first one.
Jordan Johnson. It's through turn 2 where you got to then get to the inside to tromp down the inside of turn 3, which is not quite going to be able to do. Pace was good with that toe from João Hedler on the last lap, by the way, so he stabilizes into the 155s while Michael Folds has a 156 flat. So Folds isn't looking much quicker than Hedler on the last lap, but I think keep an eye on the gap between Michael Folds and David DeCarmo. And let's also recap open class. So Logan Frey leads that. Lee Martin, longish stop. So he's back with Kyle Genske. So there's a few cars between Logan Frey leading class and then Kyle Genske, Lee Martin. So Genske gaining some positions here. Logan Frey also gaining slightly.
Yeah, it does bear saying on the overlay right now, Gilliland, it says, he's a pro class driver. It's been updated, but not in time for the broadcast tonight. But so our 1, 2, 3 in open is Logan, Genske, and Martin. And we've gotten an update from the chat. It sounds like Michael Chase thought he could make it to the pit stop with the meatball and was 1 lap short. That's what caused that disqualification.
Quick hands from Kyle Genske right here. Behind Andrew Gilliland. He had a big slide, big moment. Now Lee Martin is going to be right with him. Jameson Sampaio pits, which is one of the last drivers we were waiting on. So he's now separated from his teammates in 1st, 2nd, and 5th. And we'll see if he can still remain competitive after his pit lane start. He's going to rejoin 13th, soon to be 14th, now 16th, I think. A few cars that have shot past him there. So you've got João Hedler leading with 7 laps to go, 2.5 seconds ahead of teammate, last week's race winner and championship leader, David DeCarmo, and Michael Folds, Jordan Johnson, Breno Rodriguez, and even Lincoln Fox just there. This could get very interesting for the final spot on the podium as well. And then keep an eye on that last lap, and when the white flag waves, does DeCarmo continue to need to save fuel? His pace no longer matching his teammate João Hedler, not 3 seconds behind. So the gap is 6 seconds between DeCarmo and Michael Folds.
It'll be good finish for Folds either way. Big improvement over last round. 10th to 3rd in this series is a big move at the pointy end of the field with how tight things are so far this season. We're watching this little twosome battling behind Michael. Battling over 4th and 5th. And despite the fact that Rodriguez wasn't able to make the move into turn number 1, it did seem like he was looking for it. He turned in, it seemed like, after turn 2 and just didn't seem to have the front end bite to make it work last time. Has certainly seemed like the spot where he's got to move on though, so curious to see if he's got any other tricks up his sleeve. Wide entry this time. Still not quite enough on the nose of that car to make it work. But I don't think he's given up. And despite early returns looking okay for Michael, there was not enough there on those tires to make it faster. And in fact, he seems to have dropped off a little bit. Thought for a moment that Gordon was going to have a go. And it looks like that 4-tire move, though, is going to cost Folds in the end.
Yeah. It's dropped him away from being part of that lead pack, which certainly would be beneficial with the power of the slipstream. Sure, this isn't Monza or Road America, but you've still got a lot of speed on the front straight, a lot of speed on the back straight, where there's still got to be at least half a second per lap's worth in the slipstream here. Some drivers are not afraid of a little bump draft to, work together, help you along as well. So he's kind of, this group of drivers, they've all got to cross their fingers right now that João Hedler and David Tacamo have done their sums wrong and are going to be a little bit short of fuel right at the end. But I'd suggest the pace by Tacamo, at least at the moment, is that he knows how much he's got, how much he needs to burn, and he's matching his pace to that at the moment. And with less than 10 minutes and just 5 laps, he continues to manage successfully and you start managing it early, he'll probably be okay with that much time in his back pocket. I say that and he goes and loses 3/10 on the way into the braking zone at turn 2 from rolling in there. So maybe plenty of other battles through the field. I see 8 battle groups. This is one of them. 20 positions gained in this race from Jameson Sampaio. Eugenio Polici's gained 17 as the next biggest gain, and now it's about to be 21 if Sampaio can go round the outside of Rui Coimbra. Coimbra's not going to give a whole lot away for free and continues to try to hold the inside line through turns 2 and 3. And Sampaio's going to have a bit of work to do in these final 8 minutes.
Yeah, classical over-under there, but it's hard to make it work through these kind of ever-tightening corners of 1, 2, 3, and 4 and 5. Not quite enough there for Sampaio, but he's going to get the run on the exit, and we'll see. That turn 6 corner they just went through actually is getting reprofiled in classic iRacing tradition. They got the scan off just before the major renovations, but I think that will be a good change for the racing because it's just kind of hard to make the move work, even if you get the run on the block. Speaking of blocks, behind them, Andrew Gilliland is looking up the inside of Kyle Genske, pro class on open class, and Gilliland squeezes Genske, feeling confident that that open class driver is going to give him the right amount of space. Woo! Things are feisty.
And the thing is,
every point counts.
Even if you know that Andrew Gilliland's in the pro class, every position that you have in the final total outright results is more points if you're an open class driver. So it's not like it's 2 separate points tallies. It's 1 points table, and then we congratulate the best driver in open class. We congratulate the best driver in pro class. The higher you can finish outright, the better you're doing in open class. Gilliland runs very wide out the final corner. So we'll have plenty more side by side. These two can holler out the passenger window at their fellow scrubs.
Yeah, Genske and Gilliland are getting so close they could push each other's mirrors in if they weren't wearing arm restraints. But both of them pretty compromised. Gilliland in particular, I think, through 3 that time. A little bit of a run from Lee Martin behind. And Martin would love to get that spot too. Up the road, they're getting feisty too. Logan Fry getting overtaken by Jamison Sampaio there. Just out of frame. And Sampaio is still working. He's going to try and make a move down the next straight on the likes of Jason Stalker. Bit of a run, and their 2x2 Stalker decides to dive to the inside, closes the door, and Sampaio's going to have to make it work around the outside.
Or go for a crossover, but he goes all the way around the outside. Great work deep on the brakes. They'll continue to be side by side. Do the sweeping right-hander where you expect the driver on the outside to lose a little bit of ground, but not enough. And then to the left-hander, Sampaio gets up another position. He runs 14th. Right now, ahead of Jason Stalker, Logan Frey, and Rui Coimbra. Next open class driver, Carl Genski, closing in a little bit on Frey potentially. A whole heap of them run well out onto the painted concrete there, and Carl Genski is a whole chunk of oversteer at the moment.
Coates in 7th rather, is about to be in 8th, with Nicholas Shepard making a move up the inside. Haven't seen a lot of Coates this season, have seen a lot of him in previous ones, and a top 10 finish seems to be in the books for him, but I think he'd like it to be a top 7 finish, knowing Coates.
Yep, Shepard, Coates, and Adams here. So if the two in front begin to fight, in fact, Adams was quicker than both of them on the last lap, so a chance that he is closing in here.
Ooh, Coates had a bit of Coates had a bit of a slide on the exit there. That cost him a few tenths getting back on the throttle. I wonder if those tires are starting to get a little wore out. I also am hearing Coates hitting the rev limiter on a lot of upshifts. I'm not sure what that means, but it's definitely not the fastest way to run these things.
Interesting that that's happening. A few of these drivers not afraid of racking up an incident point or two. They won't be Mr. Clean like Lee Martin. Didn't I put together a graphic about who had how many incident points after VIR?
I'm not so sure, but I can tell you that after VIR, Lee Martin and Brian Schabelsky had 0. Kirill Bodner, Tom P. Martin, and Daniel Artuso had 1 incident each. And David DeCarmo, Joao Hedler, they're leading the race, and they each had 2 incident points, along with a whole slew of other guys. So it's not only a fast series, it's a clean series that we got here.
Now, I'm still seeing David DeCarmo in second place, dropping away from his teammate and race leader, Joao Hedler, and getting closer towards Michael Folds, Jordan Johnson, and Breno Rodriguez, the battle for third place. There is, by my measurement here, only 2 laps to go. We'll keep an eye on it at the end of this lap, how much time is on the board, but I think it's white flag for Joao Hedler next time. There's Hedler, and then David DeCarmo, 5.5 seconds behind. And Michael Folds in third. Still more than half a second per lap quicker than David DeCarmo, and that's been the trend across the last 3 or 4 laps, because you can see Joao Hedler is doing his best right now. He has the fastest lap of the race that I can spot at a 155.4, and he did a 156.5. lap before. DeCarmo a 156.9, Michael Folds a 156.3.
Yeah, and with just 2 laps to go, we're going to have our eyes on the cameras, because there is a lot of positions yet to be sorted out here.
Ooh. 4th, 5th, very wide out the final corner. Jordan Johnson and Breno Rodriguez trying to stay with Michael Folds. Are they trying to push Michael Folds at all? I think they smell a bit of blood in the water as the white flag is being waved at Circuit de Navarra.
Johnson
Spec-5
up
World
the
Tour.
inside. And he gets him. He's holding the spot, and he's pushed Michael Folds out into the dirty stuff, and Folds is going to not lose one. He's going to lose two.
Yep, so Jordan Johnson up ahead. Breno Rodriguez, and they both move ahead of Michael Folds. David DeCarmo still holding most of his pace on this final lap, but he's lifting and coasting for sure, because he's losing about a second per lap, and all of it is just before the braking zones. I can see some of the sectors. So Jordan Johnson smells that there might still be an opportunity. Things are looking very rosy for João Hedler, though.
Yeah, the open class is looking pretty good for Logan Fry, but Kyle Genske is still fighting for his life with Rui Coimbra and Andrew Gilliland, pro class drivers right behind him. Genske looking at the difference between 1 spot behind the lead in open and 3 spots behind the lead. He'll be fighting for his life through the last few corners here. Gilliland and Rui Coimbra are leaving no stone unturned as they go inside, outside on each other, and they're squeezing each other down the straightaway. Gilliland's going to have the line into this one. And David DeCarmo is coming out of the final corner, crossing the line behind João Hedler, who's got the win.
Yeah, João Hedler stays ahead. David DeCarmo has just enough fuel, it seems, to make it to the end. Jordan Johnson remains ahead of Breno Rodriguez and Michael Folds. That's your top 5, and you can look another 10 seconds down the road to Lincoln Fox, and it's all battles for the rest of the field. Drag races to the checkered flag, and Nicholas Shepard ahead of Ronnie Coates and Otis Adams. Mitchell Peak ahead of John Miller. Michael Coates and Donnie Moffat a little bit of side-by-side, as Miller might have run out of fuel right there. Probably shouldn't have. Logan Frey is in the back of shot for the open class win, just ahead of Kyle Genske. Rui Coimbra dropping a spot or 2 right at the end there. He pulls to the pit exit rapidly. Kyle Genske, and then Andrew Gilliland, and then Rui Coimbra, and then Lee Martin, the way that it went.
They're fighting hard for 20th place.
Arturzo, I think, is dropping spots.
Yeah, I think so. Peter Rozakis and Todd Martin were door-to-door and banging through the final corner. And that was Mike Oswalt losing some spots at the line out of fuel by the looks of things. Travis Ewart crosses the line in 30th, so it's still tight that far back in the field. Bobby Paul, 31st. Mark Kruger, 32nd, holding off Peyton Gherkin in 33rd. And Jake DeGrand will be the last finisher and the first one a lap down, by the looks of things. So 39 cars start and 34 of them finish on the lead lap. And it was a heck of a race. And a real strong finish from João Hedler, David DeCarmo, who's kind of put on a clinic this one. They got out early and held it down. Jordan Johnson, Brendan Rodriguez, and Michael Folds, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Folds holding on until the end, but that 4-tire strategy didn't quite work out for him. Lincoln Fox, 6th place. Nicholas Shepard, 7th. Holding off Ronnie Coates, Otis Adams as well, Mitchell Peak, John Miller, Michael Coates, and Donnie Moffat all trading a little bit of paint towards the end of the race there. Jameson Sampaio starts in 37th, makes up 23 places from that start from pit lane penalty to finish 14th. Jason Stalker managing to hold off the likes of Logan Fry, our open class leader. Kyle Genske, 17th. Andrew Gilliland, 18th. Rui Coimbra, 19th. Lee Martin, 3rd place in open, 20th overall. Eugenio Polici, 21st. Brian Chabelski, 22nd. Paul Murgatroyd, 23rd. Daniel Artuzo, 24th. Peter Rozakis, 25th. Todd Martin, Sean Hayes, 26th and 27th. Jordy Fike, 28th. 29th, Mike Oswald, Travis Ewart, 30th, Bobby Paul, Mike Kruger, Peyton Gherkin, Rob Conahan, and Jake DeGround rounding out our finishers. Michael Chase, DNFs with a meatball penalty, Josh Olson, DNFs as well, and Simon Foweather, Ray Lombardi after that contact early on in the race, DNF as well. Couple more drivers didn't set qualifying times and didn't take a start, but we'll see Ismail Ublal and Dick Mueller at future rounds.
Well, it's a new circuit to iRacing. It's certainly been very interesting here in Spec-5 World Tour, and it's base-free content too. So everyone had it. Everyone had plenty of opportunity to learn it. And in the end, the podium from Pro was Hedler, DeCarmo, and Johnson. The podium from Open Class, Logan Frey, Lee Martin, Logan Frey, Kyle Genske, and Lee Martin. Let's see if there's a driver or two that will hang around for a chat. I'm looking now. And the answer is, let's go to our Open Class winner. Logan, a new track. Congratulations.
He's
Hello?
got the
Hey, how's it
Miata
going?
in the picture.
How's it going, guys?
No, he's got the Toyota MR2 with the Mazda pop-up headlights or whatever it is. Congratulations, Open Class winner. And there were a few good drivers in class there. We're just seeing Lee Martin behind you. Kyle Genske is the reigning champion. And it was real close between all of you guys. You had to execute cleanly with being tidy on track, and also the pit stop and the pit entry here is unique.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. This is my first time driving this track, so a couple days with my Box 5 buddies teaching me the track, and pit went well. Got lucky, turn 3 lap 1, kind of went around the outside of the accident to get around Lee, and then was a passenger the rest of the race with the pro drivers. So it was a good race, and glad to get the win. So
with a new track, with the way Spec-5 World Tour works around the pit stops, what sort of things were you focusing on learning?
For me, it's the paranoia on fuel calculation. I have no idea what's going on, and I think I got a little lucky and just trusted the guys. Other than that, it's just, every track breaking points and, figuring out how to follow and drive 2 lines.
And the way the point scoring works for the Open Championship, the higher in the overall standings you can get, the more points you get, the more advantage you can build over the other drivers in class. But it also comes with a risk where maybe psychologically you don't really want to tangle too much with the pro drivers, at least early in the race.
Yeah, absolutely right. So I had 3 pro drivers in that second stint behind me, and I wanted to let Jason, I was trying to let, I think, Jason through because he seemed like he had some pace, but there were 3 of them, and if I let him through and it wasn't efficient, I was going to lose 3 spots. I ended up losing 2 of them, but I think those points matter by the end of the season. So I got to kind of figure out how to, get ahead of them and also, pick my battles.
Well, once again, we offer our congratulations, and I'm sure there's some people you'd like to thank, some shout outs you'd like to give.
Yeah, my wife, Tom Sanders, and the rest of the Box 5 crew.
Was there a comma between my wife, Tom Sanders?
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay. So two different people. That's great. Congrats to you.
Appreciate y'all.
I'm being too funny for my own good, Devon, but congratulations once again to our Open Class winner. It's looking an incredibly competitive segment of the championship this year. There was really only 4 or 5 drivers from it last season that did every single round, but with a new influx of drivers, new influx of Open Class drivers, it's looking very, very good. And the same can be said about Pro, Devon.
Yeah, I'm here with our Pro Class winner, Joe Hedler. Hedler, have you got it? Are you there?
Yeah, let me hear.
A real strong race from you today, sprinting away in the early phase with a breakaway group of 3, and then you put the afterburners on in that second stint and managed to break the back of David DeCarmo and drive away for a victory.
Can you call David Carmo to help me?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm here with David and Zhao, and Zhao put on a clinic. The both of you did, David, in that early phase of the race.
Hi guys, I'm so sorry. Can you guys repeat again? Yeah, I think it's better if Breno translate to João because he speak a better English than me.
Okay, we'll bring the whole CPFM team. So Zhao Hedler, David DeCarmo, and Breno Rodriguez, we got you all in here. And in that early phase of the race, it seemed, Breno, like David and Zhao just had another gear on the rest of the field.
Yeah. Just came to help those guys.
And the whole team is doing really well. Breno, you it looked like you started 4th, finished 4th. Did it seem like you could challenge for a win today?
Yeah, I started 4, and it's really tense the first 3 laps because we used to start still. So I lost a few positions in the first 3 laps, and I had to concentrate again to get my pace back and escalate again. And actually, after pitting, I think someone just pitted faster than me, and I was just following them to the end. Couldn't pass them, but I think if I started better, I could be behind Davi and João.
And they're on the air, so they have to tell the truth. So do you want to ask David and Zhao what the secret is to being so fast around here?
I'll ask them. Eles estão perguntando qual o segredo, se vocês têm que falar a verdade, qual o segredo de ser tão rápido nessa pista.
Cara, eu acho que essa pista ela é muito técnica, mas o segredo nessa pista geralmente está em 3 curvas, tá ali na T3, na T6 e na T8. Eu acho que são essas 3 curvas que, se você pegar o jeito dela, você vai conseguir fazer rápido, e acho que é o 80-20 dessa pista.
João was saying that this track is really technical, and usually for him is especially 3 turns, turn 3 and 5 and 8, that he can get most of the time faster than the guys. So for him, that's the secret.
Nice. And could you ask David to tell us a little bit about CPFM? I don't know too much about your racing team.
I can tell you guys, CFPM stands for Mazda Drivers Formation Course. So we mostly drive in Mazda. And Jamison, that is on the grid as well. He's the owner. He's the boss. He's been driving Mazda for, I don't know, 14 years or something like that. So I'm pretty new to the team, as João too. João's been driving Mazda for 4 months, and Davi's been on the team for longer. So we're practicing a lot. We are dedicated full time on Mazda. So maybe that's the secret, just driving one car.
Makes sense. Practice makes perfect. And it showed today. Great race from you 3 and from the whole field. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you, guys. I'll see you next week.
Parabéns muito rápido.
Yeah, that's really good.
Muito obrigado.
Obrigado, my friends. We'll see
Thank
you
you
next
so
week.
much,
Thank you.
guys.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Love you guys. Bye.
Well, it is a family affair, and great to have all of them with us. By popular demand, Jordan Johnson, JJ5, joins us. Great little battle pack you guys had for that podium position.
Yeah, it was a pretty strong battle. I wasn't really expecting to come in and get a podium after all.
So, talk us through the pit strategy for here. Sampaio showed us that you could run quite deep into this race before you needed to take fuel, but everyone was looking at that halfway point and thinking that's when my pit stop's going to be.
Yeah, truthfully, I kind of came in with a minimal plan. I got a general idea of what I wanted to do early on, a little bit before the race. I kind of had a little birdie in the ear telling me what I should do, but yeah, I didn't know when to pit. I just kind of followed in whoever was around me, and I really, with MX-5s, you kind of want to be in a group, and we were detached from the lead pack from pretty much lap 2, and then started falling back even more with the traffic in front of us. As well as a little bit of damage. So it was just kind of falling in. Whoever was with me, work together and see if we could push up for something more.
So yeah, Michael Folds, obviously, it seemed like he had quite a bit of pace after the pit stop. You ran with him, closed him down, and then a late move to get yourself on the podium.
Yeah, Michael actually jumped us in the pit stop from quite a ways back too. So he did really, really good with his fuel saving, picked a really good fuel number, and then ran it out from there. I really was just trying to kind of get his reference points and see where I could carry speed on him and really just copy his lines. It was a lot of learning for me. I haven't driven this car for about 9 months, if I'm completely honest. So I was struggling for the first bit of that race, kind of started catching up towards the end. And then I think the last kind of 5 laps or so, I really started to put it all together, and then just kind of was thinking about what I need to do in the last lap to finish it from there.
How much more JJ5 are we going to see for the remainder of Spec-5 World Tour this season?
Well, typically I'm free today, so in normal Thursdays I will likely be here, but it really depends my schedule. This year and last year's been so unpredictable for me. It's kind of hard to tell the future. I kind of play it week by week, but in an ideal world, I'll be here for the whole season.
Well, we all wish we could live in an ideal world, and we'll wish you the best of luck for the remainder of the season, and you'll stand on the balcony and deliver your thanks to the many people that have gathered to hear it.
Yeah, hopefully so. Hopefully we can move up to that top spot, but those guys were looking really, really quick in P1 and P2, so it's going to be quite a challenge in the future weeks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, Season 17 of Spec-5 World Tour certainly is shaping up very interesting. 2 rounds completed. We can't wait to have you join us for the next round. Have you looked where it's going to be, Devin?
Oh, I'm looking for that schedule right now, David Haynes, let me tell you. It is.
I was looking at
going
the
to
schedule
be,
not very long ago.
It's going to be Okayama. Yeah, so we're
Go to
continuing
Japan.
the world tour, and you're going to have to wait 1 more week before we get to Mount Panorama. But Okayama always gives us a great show, and with this impressive field, I'm sure that we'll have another good one.
You're going to have to wait till May till we get to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park Mosport. So I can be patient for 2 more weeks until we get to Mount Panorama Circuit, but you won't need to be patient more than 1 week till the next round of Spec-5 World Tour. Same time, same place in 1 week's time from Okayama. CFPM Sampaio with a lockout on Spec-5 World Tour so far this season. However you're watching, please do subscribe to Team Huge Ass. We've picked up a couple. We're doing good numbers. Everyone from Spec-5 World Tour is thrilled, and the racing is also reflecting that. I've been David Haynes with Devin Peters, Michael Derby. We'll see you in a week's time.